Okay, we are live. I will tag all the group so we can enjoy this time with Bang. Perfect. Technology is taken care of. So welcome everyone. This is the first Bang Tea Time, and we call it Sip, Learn, and Grow. My name is Marina Gamundi. I'm here in Mickey Mouse Land, as I always say, in Orlando. And the Education Committee wanted to bring this space. We are super excited that you are here. We want to share this moment. This is our time to slow down, pour ourselves a cup of tea, and just dive into meaningful conversations. The idea is to learn from each other. So tea time isn't just about tea, it's about connections. And as I said, learning from each other in our bank group. And if you have time, go grab some tea and we will start now. So let's get started. Today we have the amazing Aubrey Martin. How are you, sweetie? How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. It's a little gray and overcast here in Portland, Oregon, but it's not snowing, it's not raining, and it's around 48 degrees, so no complaints here.
I love it. So I'm drinking my tea. I'm going to share what I'm drinking. It's a blend and it's called Serenity Blend. It has lavender, it has some sage and peppermint. I love it. Just to relax in the afternoon. Well, here is 2:30 p.m. What time is there?
It's 11:30, so I'm not quite ready for the wind down. I am drinking from Portland, a company called Smith and Company, so Smith Tea, and I love me some jasmine tea. So we're doing a green jasmine pearl. My husband got me a tea maker for Christmas that is a gadget that steeps the tea, heats it, boils the tea, has timers and gadgets for everything. It has made my life so happy. So
I,
easy tea that I can't burn and can't mess up.
I love it. I love it. So you have that story about tea. So yeah, tell us about you. This is your time, Aubrey.
I'm so glad that you guys are all here. I'm Aubrey Martin. My company is called Martin Family Real Estate Group. I'm actually an individual agent, and my husband, Dan, is my director of operations and does all of my photography, my Matterport website marketing. He's not licensed, but he does a lot of the back end stuff. And then I've got my kiddos, Ryan and Annie, who actually help me with events and marketing stuff. They've been helping me since they were little during the pandemic. And then I've got an in-house transaction coordinator who works at Keller Williams Sunset Corridor in my office. And then I've also got a gal in my office, Crystal, who helps with showings and sits inspections. And anyway, that's how I'm structured. Generally sell between 50 and 75 homes a year, 52 in 2024. And been licensed since 2017 with all but one of those years with Keller Williams. So, yeah, I work a lot with other agents. I teach agents a lot. I'm been on the big stage at Mega Camp, speaking again at Family Reunion this year about the topic that we're actually going to be covering. So, yeah, I think the reason why I get interviewed often on podcasts and on stages is really about what we're going to talk about, which is really how to command a business that is 100% referrals and how to do the lead generation that you like that really doesn't feel like work.
I love it. I love it. I know that you are amazing at creating those relationships with the other vendors. So I can't wait to hear that. How do you do it? How do you do it?
So way back in the before times, right, before the pandemic, when I first started in real estate, I had just moved back to Oregon. I'm from the East Coast originally, had lived back on the East Coast and had been away from Oregon for about 13 years. Came out here for college, moved back east, and then came back. So when I came back, I didn't know anybody. It's zero sphere. And what I decided was in that first year when I sold 13 homes, so I had some time on my hands, was who did I think I'd be most beneficial to?
Mhm.
And when you look around your community, and if for those of you who are part of these Facebook groups, these community groups, they're always asking, who can I get to wash my windows? Who do you use for this, that, or whatever? And realistically, anybody can Google, but we don't want to do that. We want to talk to people that have used their services before. So, for example, when we moved back to Oregon, I didn't have a pediatrician for my kids. And so I asked my son's best friend's mom, where do you take Evan to go to the doctor? And she said, we go to XYZ. And we're like, great. And that's where we go. And that's where we still go because really um, that referral about someone, that reference about someone that someone else has used is really what we're looking for. So the way that this started was to be of service to my community and coming at it from that perspective. So I joined this group called MOB, Mother Owned Businesses, which is now defunct, but we'll talk about that later because I kind of picked up the torch and created a new group. But back then, it was a really wonderful group of women in professional and service industries. So I invited them in for tea
Mm-hmm.
and met with them in my office for about half an hour or so. And the topic of conversation was all about them. What did they do? Okay, great. You're a general contractor. What kind of clients are you looking for? What kind of projects have you done? What's your area of service? How could I be of best service to you? And those conversations I committed to having several per week, and they were not about me and my business. It was really so that I could absorb as much about these people as I could, so that when someone did need a contractor, that I would be able to really confidently say, hey, I met with this person from this contracting company, and I think that this would be a good fit. Do you want me to put you together with them? Um, Once I met with them, if I hadn't worked with them before, I then would ask them for two references because you can't just use anybody. You've got to actually, again, talk to people that have used them before. That's how it started. It became a written directories that I then asked the community, hey, I've got this group now of women in service and professional services. Would anybody like that? Would that be a good reference for anybody? And so I would drop them off at people's houses. This is what I did my first year. And then they would use that. And they would drop my name to these service providers. Hey, Aubrey Martin recommended you. You're in her book. I wanted to, get you in for a bid for paint or cleaning or, whatever, accounting, whatever the thing might be. And what I found is that directory was like a living, breathing document, and it was just too hard to keep editing it and then dropping them off again. So
Mm-hmm.
we created a website, which is what we still have, which is martinfamilyrealestate.com/directories. And now those 30 people that I met in my first couple of months in real estate have become hundreds of companies that I work with on a regular basis. And now what I'm doing is I'm tagging through socials anytime that someone has a request for something. The way that I word it is my real estate clients use Nicholas Carpet Care. They're an excellent family company, really fairly priced. I've used them in my own home. Ask for Paula, tell her I sent you.
I love it.
And what that does is it shows these service providers that I am actively promoting them on a regular basis. In addition to that, now with all of these people, whenever I have a closing on Facebook, like we all do, sold, you know, instead, what I do is I create the story about the clients, whatever their process, whatever their story was, and then I'm tagging everybody that had anything to do with that closing. So if there was a contractor, a flooring person, a cabinet maker, the window washers, whoever it was, whoever worked on the house for the listing to get it prepped, staging, title, if they needed an accounting question, every single one of those professionals gets tagged. And the same thing for when a buyer buys a home, because it's not about us. We're just the stewards of the story. The story is really about the person who's buying or selling the house. It's not my money, it's theirs, right? So, and all of the people that helped us get to the finish line, which are all of those people. And the reason why I have such a strong business to business referral business is because these people can see me actively referring them on a regular basis in many different modalities. And it culminates in a yearly event that we have called the Gratitude Dinner. All of my events are sponsored always, but this is the event that's not, because I don't feel right about having them sponsor their own thank you dinner. So it's not, but I also use past clients to do the catering, to do the flowers, to do the candles, to do everything that has to do with that event. I'm using my past clients to introduce them to my other service providers so they can all start working together. And so, really, what we are, I think, as real estate agents are connectors. That's our superpower. And I introduce my transaction coordinator to my florist, who's also a past client. I say, hey, Alana, florist, meet Emily, my coordinator. Emily's getting married next year. And now Emily used Alana for her flowers. And these connections with HVAC and your cleaners, your bookkeeper, your financial planners, they all work together. And so they've created this sort of micro economy where I'm kind of out of the picture, because they're doing the connections themselves now, and it's awesome. It's really like it's one of the most beautiful things to really witness during this gratitude dinner is people talking to each other who didn't know each other before and are now doing business together. And then it begats this, which begats that, which begats that. Like it's a big, right? It's a really big circle that has no end. Um, and that's really one of the biggest pieces of my business is this business to business. And then we'll talk about here in a little bit about groups that I've created to keep fostering that business to business, because I see that Janine has her hand up.
So
Well, I just I wanted to interrupt because I think you said something very, very important. You started with 30, correct? You started
Mhm.
with 30 in the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there for somebody like me that I don't have the directory that you have today?
Yeah.
Did you start? Did you put a system together and you said, "Okay, I'm going to look for a lawyer," or it was as it came?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, it was really who I thought would be people that my community and perhaps my future clients would be interested in talking to. And so it wasn't necessarily, it was sort of a wide net to begin with, but as I was kind of going along, I thought, you know, how much how much am I going to be asked for this particular service? And probably not. And to be honest with you, a lot of those I can't remember what they're called, but like the doTERRA type stuff. Like I think a lot of those folks wanted to meet with me, but as I went through time, I realized like that's not really who my people were asking for. They really needed sort of more things that were related to home, family, or business. But yeah, I think for the most part, and I'm not category restricted either, right? So I have several different pest control companies. I have several different, just like we have several different inspectors or title people or whatever it is. We don't want to just give people one option. We want to give people several excellent options. So even at this gratitude dinner, we have roofers talking to each other. It's great because maybe this roofer specializes in this area and this one does metal roofs and this one likes flat roofs. And then they start referring to each other as well. Um, because it's not a popularity contest. It's really just about making sure that I'm providing like the very top end service for the community. And it's so important that if over time that you get feedback that perhaps that person is not necessarily doing a great job anymore, you have to like rip out off the band-aid and take them out because it's your reputation and you're not although it shouldn't necessarily reflect on me, it does. So you have to be careful about who you recommend for sure.
a question for you in this dinner. How many vendors now you have?
Oh gosh, at the last one we had about 90 people there. And it was
Okay.
so fun. It was so fun. And as I said, it was just wonderful because I'm also supporting my past clients who have businesses. And Yeah. But it fluctuates. I would say anywhere between like 70 and 100 is what we usually have.
So I just wonder, what would you say to, like Janine said, to a person that wants to start, having, I would say you are being in service to all these vendors, right? You're coming from contribution. And
100%.
how would you start? Let's say if you have to start all over, what would be the first step for all of
I
us?
th I think that if you start, if you're on Facebook, if you're still on Facebook, or any of the social media groups, and I would start looking for what people are looking for and start there. What are the things that people, I mean, I can tell you in my social media groups, it's cleaners. 100% of the time, it's cleaners. And so that's where I would start is find out where the need is and then start reaching out to your friends because again, these are all touch points. Hey, listen, I really want to provide my clients with an excellent cleaner. Friends, spam me with the people you love the most. Use it as an opportunity to text someone, to call someone in your sphere and ask them, "Hey, I'm putting together a list of like the most beloved vendors that you all use. Who should be on that list?" And then when I'm done with this, would you like a copy of that list? That's where you start. It's just very natural conversations that has nothing to do with like, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? It's not that. It's not that. It's literally, I want to be of service to other people. I want to be of service to you. Can you help me do that? And I've said this before is you kind of can't fake that. It can't be a sales pitch. It has to be real. But what you're providing really is a really valuable service. And who wouldn't want to shout from the rooftops an experience with someone that they love for their home, from their family, for whatever it is? And then how many conversations is that like kind of jet off into another direction? Oh my gosh, you're asking about cleaners, but can I also just mention how much I love this person? Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So that's where you start. I think sometimes we make it harder than it has to be. But if you want to get in front of people, don't make it about yourself. Make it about them. They'll show up. They will. Um, what that turned into after the directories and all of that good stuff is we talked for a second about Mob,
Mhm.
which doesn't really exist anymore. And there's a lot of reasons why it sort of imploded. But after the pandemic, what I realized is that people really miss each other.
Mhm.
We really
Mhm.
like we've been on Zoom for so long, and I think we just miss that connection. Um, Even when the world seems kind of scary, that we just lean into community instead. And what I was in my friend's produce store. She and her husband own it, and she had been part of this group, Mob. And our other friend Abby was there painting a mural on this produce stands wall. Um, and we just talked about how much we miss Mob. And these are both past clients of mine, so we're just kind of chatting. And then I was like, we should just do something about it. Just do something. Just do something because otherwise we just lament about how much we miss this thing. So I have this office, right? We all have offices. I think most of us have offices at KW. I have a beautiful space that was renovated. And what I decided to do was create a group called WIN, Women in Networking.
Okay.
And there's no charge to be in the group. There's no charge to come to meetings. The only thing that we ask is we have a food and beverage sponsor, which means they just bring in food and drink for the guests.
Mhm.
And then we have a featured speaker that can speak about something sort of general, like a general topic. Again, not about their business, but just about something that's going to appeal. We started these 4 months ago. We generally have between 60 and 75 women show up every month. And the coolest thing about this is, and it's not category restricted, but the amount of diversity that we have in business is crazy. We have
Mhm.
makeup artists and real estate agents, and we've got contractors and bookkeepers and just like literally photographers, every walk of life that you could possibly imagine, coffee makers,
Wow.
like art studios. And so what's great is we have this big group. We then do an educational piece, and then we break into groups of like six so that they
Mhm.
really get to know each other on a really kind of deep level. Um, And the business that has been passed has been incredible. But the more important thing is that the connections that have been made on a personal level is wild. And all I'm doing here is creating a Facebook page and an event, and I'm reserving the space. And then we're just keeping tally, like who wants to be the beverage and
Hmm.
food sponsor, who wants to be the speaker, and I keep track of that, and that's it. And by not monetizing it, it's different from every other group. And I'm like, look, show up or don't show up. That's up
Can
to
I
you. If you
can
don't
I
show up, yeah, go
can
ahead,
I so
please.
I'm putting together I put together an event every year called it Women International Day, and I get a really, really great response. This time I reached out to, because I'm a board member of the Kennedy Center, and they are offering to host it there. So
Amazing.
I wanted to get, I mean, a suggestion on, should I be asking everyone to share what they do in some kind of form when they sign in, so then we can all help each other uh, on a later date? Because if I know what they do, because I mean, I don't have that database saying exactly what they do. And this,
How many people do you think come to this?
normally I get around 180 women,
Yes.
but
Okay.
the goal this time is around 200.
So in a smaller group, and by smaller, I mean like 80, what we do is at the end of every meeting, is after we come back from small group, we spend about half an hour and we do the big group introduction, like 15 seconds. I'm Aubrey Martin from Martin Family Real Estate Group, licensed in Oregon and Washington, ranked in the top 1% in the country. Next, boom. And so we all sort of then put names with faces that way. If it's a little bit smaller, like that 75 group. Once you get over 100, that probably becomes like super overwhelming. I do think it's important to capture their information. And if you can get it when they're signing in, that's important. And then I think the other thing that's important is keeping all of those people connected afterwards. So once you capture their information, is then creating some sort of group for these women so that they can stay connected, but I think otherwise it's just kind of a one and done thing, and then it's not lasting,
So
right?
do you do
Great
that?
advice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I was going to ask, do you do that in the Facebook group to for the women to stay connected in that group, right?
So we
That's
have a Facebook group that's for WIN, and they don't all come to the meetings, of course, but we do have them introduce themselves. It's a very active Facebook group, actually. But yeah, they all introduce themselves and their business and all of that. And I'm seeing a lot of just referrals back and forth within the group, even for like, hey, I need to hire someone for this. I mean, it's been really a beautiful thing to see, and I think that what I'm doing is just creating the space for it, right? Like I told people from the beginning, I'm not going to police you. Like, I'm not micromanaging you. Like, be nice to each other. If you want to do business with someone else, do your own research. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not going to get interested in any sort of drama. I don't get paid for this. Like, this is not monetized in any way. So, like, be a grown up, be nice. And if you can't, then this is probably not the right group for you. But don't come to me with complaints, because the complaint department is like permanently closed. I don't care. So I think if you can follow those rules, which they all have, because there's been zero drama, knock on wood, then it's cool. And I think when there's no money involved, if it's not monetized and you're not paying for anything, then people don't complain. It's
love.
just once they have to pay for something, that's when they feel like they have the right to complain.
So
But
you have women in networking. You do BNI.
yep.
Is that
Yep.
correct?
And then BNI. So years ago, I started meeting with this group of folks. There was insurance, property and casualty insurance, a financial planner. There was a healthcare gal in there that was, who does all of my health insurance stuff. There was a lender. And so we just started meeting kind of casually outside of not BNI, with the intent though that at some point that we probably wanted to become something that was more structured like BNI. And about 3 years ago, we decided to kind of make that leap and and become a BNI chapter. And for those of you who are not familiar, that is Business Networking International. And so that is category restricted. One real estate agent one financial planner, one accountant, et cetera, et cetera. Um, it's the same concept, which is I show up every week with the intention of helping them. I have a very vested interest in these folks because we're friends. So if someone is looking for a gift, then I want to support my friend Lisa at Fancy That. She does all of my gifting for all of my clients. She's incredibly supportive. I helped her son buy a condo. Her kids, are Jack and Sam. Like I know them. Like why would I go anywhere else anyway? And so it's really awesome because it makes you feel like you're having a part in helping to put food on other people's tables. So I show up at these meetings every week, plus the extra meetings that we have, um, with the intention of this idea of rising tide floats all boats. In other words, me as a real estate agent, like I'm not getting 20 referrals from them every year. They use me themselves and they can refer me when they can refer me, but I can refer our window washer all day long. Like I have a contractor who's in our group who I help buy a house, but like we're working on 8 projects right now for pre-listing. I can oftentimes use them more than they can use me. But who cares? Because the other piece of it is like we also get paid more than most of these people do. So if I get like 6 a year, like, well, I mean, we can all do the math. Like that pays for my BNI until I'm dead. So like it's totally worth it if you really come at it of in general, not what's in it for me, but how can I be of service to you? And that energy comes back because they see that you are actively promoting them on a regular basis. So when BNI, those are my two big sort of the networking things. I know other people belong to chambers and all that sort of stuff. It's not my jam. It's just not my thing. I I've done them before. I don't begrudge anybody any of these things. There's a lot of different ways to success. These are the things that work for me. And specifically, what I like about WIN and BNI is they're vastly different from each other. BNI is very, very structured. Our meeting for Bang is actually quite structured like a BNI meeting. I think there's a lot of value in the structure, and I love those people, but it's a different feeling and a different vibe than WIN. So you don't have to just do one. And what most good networking groups will tell you is that you should belong to a few because
Hmm.
otherwise you're always just like in this little bubble. And so you got to expand the bubble, right? So from the business perspective, um, I'm 100% referral based, and I have 3 legs of that. So it's the networking, which is what we just talked about. It's client events. I have 4 a year, and past clients and loving on your database, just like we all know we should. And then my other referral source is agent to agent, which is Bang, right? And something was not always awesome at. I would go to family reunion and mega camp, and like as soon as the last session was done, I would like run back to my hotel as fast as I possibly could because I don't want to talk to anybody and I'm completely like burned out. Um, I didn't want to talk to anybody during the events, like because I love all of the content in these big meetups and everything. I love all this stuff, but I don't want to talk to anybody. And I had to really work on that. I'm still working on it. So those are my 3. And that's what allows me to have built such a big, big, big business as a solo agent in a relatively short amount of time in, a market that is challenging and has been for the last few years.
Yeah.
But if you lean into your community, if you lean into your microeconomy, if you lean into your connections, you number one, it doesn't feel like work. But number two is you can choose the people you want to work with. You can choose the people that make you happy to spend time with as far as your clients. You can say, hey, I'm only going to sell 60 houses this year and then I'm done, which is what I did this year. And then I'm done. Like, and really mean it and right? We talked about this earlier, like draw that line
Yeah.
in the sand, protect your time, protect your sanity, right?
So
Like
can I
that's
ask you a question real quick? In
please.
in just, 1, 2, and 3. If I really want to be Aubrey Martin, what can I do to be successful in just want do this, and do this
I
now.
think that if
And
you're new, I think if you're new, I think if you don't have a sphere or a database, which is what I hear a lot, people that just don't have that, the first and the easiest thing to do is that business to business piece, is start getting in front of service providers. Start like and really actively promoting them. My secret is I really can't stand social media. Like can't stand it. But you would never know it from how I post because it feels a little less icky because I'm highlighting other people. So where to start is you have to get in front of people and be of service to them. And I think the easiest way to do that is through the networking piece of things. If you can join a BNI, it's great. As a real estate agent, it's tough to join a BNI because they're very hard positions to get into. You kind of have to like, stab someone to get the seat. So what I did is instead is I just created my own because otherwise you're going to be competing with 40 other people if there is a seat that's open. And I'm just not that much of a brown noser. So I just did my own. I just created my own BNI and then I don't have to worry about it. But even if you're not at that point, go to meetups with and so Jason Abrams actually came to see our market center years ago before he was with KWRI. And one of the things that he said is it's really important to like go do stuff that you enjoy with other people that enjoy the same thing. And that becomes your sphere. So then you start
yeah.
having these conversations, I'm building this directories. Who do you love for, like have you, like if you ever had, we have a lot of moss removal Northwest, right? That's how you can tell I'm in the Northwest. Who do you have that have you ever had anybody that's done your moss removal on your roof that you love? Because I'm really looking for someone or whatever it is. Just have conversations with people that can help benefit your client and help benefit the community and also help benefit the service provider. And then lean into it,
Uh-huh.
promote them without any expectation of getting anything back in return. That's the key. If you're expecting them to do stuff for you in return, then you're not doing it for the right reason and it's not going to produce the results you want. Start there because the other stuff, the stuff about your uh, the networking with other agents, or if you don't have a big database, those things come later. I mean, you can and you should go to family reunion. You should go to all of the things and network with other agents. But I think the easiest place to start, the most organic place to start, is within your own community.
Great.
Uh,
Wonderful.
wow, this was an amazing tea time. My
Did you
tea
finish your
gone.
tea?
Yeah, my tea's gone, but yes, it was amazing. Thank you so much. I hope,
Thanks for having me.
yeah, thank you. Thank you, Janine. Anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I just have a whole list of things that I need to do, and besides doing my list of vendors, I also am going to start highlighting every person involved in our listings. That way, I give them credit and make
Yes.
sure they are acknowledged and
Because
they
people
feel good.
because people see that what it becomes is constant branding for them, and
Yes,
people see it over time, and that's why I'm using the same cleaners for all of my pre-listings. People notice that,
yeah.
so it's a wonderful way to give thanks to people that really work their patooties off for us, right?
So,
Like it's a
so those
really
are the
wonderful way
two
to thank
things
them.
I'm going to implement
Good.
today. Well,
I'm glad.
thank
I
you
love that.
so,
Love it.
thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much
Aubrey.
for taking the
Thanks.
time and share your wisdom. And for everybody else that is listening in Bank, thank you for joining. We're going to be doing this every last Thursday of the month, 2:30 p.m. Who's next? It's a secret, but you'll learn soon. So thank you so much and keep sipping, learning, and growing together. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Whew,
Okay.
that was great. You get well.
I learned a lot. So let me stop the
Recording.
yep.